Hi, I'm your host, Erika Polsinelli, and welcome to Evolve by Erika, the podcast, where we talk all things spirituality, ascension, health, wellness, and beyond. I'm so excited that you are here. Come on in. Hi, guys. We are here for an episode with Emily, who is the creator of Chakra Caramels that I've featured at events before. They're delicious. And we honestly go everywhere. We talk about her journey, how she started with Reiki, how the challenges in her life really led her to her healing journey, what she discovered about life being her ultimate mirror, talk about light language, aliens and light beings, and so much more. I think you're going to love where this conversation takes us. So sit back and enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. So excited you're here.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So I connected with you through a friend, Beth. I love her so much.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. And she introduced me to the products, and I've had them at events. There's Chakra Caramels. You may have, if you've been to an event, you definitely saw them there. I love them. I honestly enjoy them a lot on my own. And then we connected, and I wanted to talk to you and share your story and hear about your journey from just how it began and what you're doing now and what guided you to it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It's really special for me, especially as I've really poured my heart and soul into this product and my work. And the Chakra Caramels, the brand MASAH itself, is an extension of not only my work in the holistic healing space, but my passion for teaching people how to love themselves, how to accept themselves, how to empower themselves. And the way I approached this brand is from the mind of a consumer as well. What tastes so indulgent to me, but what do I feel good about putting in my body versus what I don't? So it's been a very intricate process, and one that is so, so special to me and has been connecting me to such incredible like-minded people in the health, wellness, and spiritual spaces. So I'm very grateful for that.
How did your journey begin?
This is tricky because I have to compact about 30 something years of a journey. Basically, I was a very witchy kid, and I was watching The Craft. I was watching Hocus Pocus. I got seriously into Harry Potter, and all of those movies and worlds created in those movies always felt more real to me than the real world did. And this was before I knew about things like star seeds and manifestation and things like that. And my parents just let me roll with it. They weren't judgmental. They weren't telling me, don't do that. It's against XYZ. Mm-hmm. It was always just something that was a part of me. And then over a period of time, it fell in the back. And then after, I should say, throughout my life, I have experienced many challenges, from lack of self-worth, really struggling to fit in socially, struggling romantically, struggling with my self-image, and chronic health issues. And little did I know that everything was connected, right? Because I am an 80s baby. Growing up in the 90s, nobody taught us about law of attraction. We didn't know about the universe as a mirror. So I walked through life not really understanding why I was here, not understanding why I didn't fit in. And my senior year of high school, it all came to a head, and I went to a really dark place. I had also lost quite a few people in my life, and I had to make a decision. Do I keep going or do I not? And the only thing that at that time that kept me going was going to college, going out of state for college, and meeting all new people. Meanwhile, I was still struggling with my health and my body, which would continue into college. Fast forward, graduating, went back to New Jersey, to where I'm from. I had one friend who started talking to me about crystals, And I was like, I have some. I don't really know anything about them, but my family and I went to Sedona years ago. And I was just hooked instantly. So I went to our local metaphysical shop, befriended everybody there, and started reading books like You Can Heal Yourself from Louise Hay and Infinite Possibilities by Mike Dooley, The Alchemist, which really set me off on a whole spiritual awakening path. And at that time, I was talking to somebody at the store about what was going on with my body, and they recommended Reiki. And at the time, my only familiarity with Reiki was with a practitioner years before. I thought it was BS. I didn't think it was a real thing, but she explained it to me. She said, give it a shot. Fast forward again, went to get certified in Reiki simply to learn how to heal myself. And that catapulted everything. And where I am now, it really changed my life.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I believe it, because I feel like so many of us on this journey have that story of like a struggle or a challenge that we're experiencing. And those moments truly lead to the greatest expanding experiences, and the trajectory just shifts.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, this message has been coming up for me a lot lately. It's like the most challenging times, or the times that we think are like the worst, are really putting that pressure before so much expansion truly comes to fruition.
Yeah.
And I hear that theme in your story as well. You brought up the life or the world, the universe being your mirror. Can you talk more about that?
My favorite thing to talk about.
I love it.
Yeah. So again, when I started throwing myself into the world of spiritual development, learning that basically everything in our lives is the reflection of our dominant emotional frequency and our thought patterns, our belief systems, was both the most frustrating thing in the world, but the most empowering moment I've ever had. To lock into that awareness and to start to educate yourself on the fact that you can not only create your reality and change it at will. That's freedom, that's sovereignty. And from there, it just really takes finding the right support system to guide you, not to do the work for you. Because when I started out, I was the one who spent thousands of dollars on crystals, found every single practitioner I could find to fix me and do the work for me. And I find that that's the case with so many other people first getting introduced to spirituality and manifestation. They're like, tell me what I need and do it for me. Whereas this is the structure. These are the foundations. These are the blueprints. Let me help navigate you through your own inner waters, which is now what I do for clients, to set yourself free, to take the reins back in your own life and co-create a life experience that's abundant, fulfilling, and on your terms. And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, which you know.
Right.
It just means if you don't like something, you can change it.
Yep. It's so true. Yeah, it's such a journey gaining awareness. And that's been a theme for me over this past year. It's just like the awareness increases, and it's like, it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot to handle. But exactly what you said of like actually knowing that we have so much more power than we believe. And I think that's why people seek like the outside practitioners or the healers or whatever it is. It all serves a purpose. And I think depending on where we're at in our journey, using other people as resources could be the most powerful and pivotal thing we can do. And then with that, it's also like it all comes from within ourselves, and we have so much more power. And this has been on my mind a lot. Actually, this morning I just had this experience where so many of us use affirmations and we're like trying to use the law of attraction or constantly like thinking the positive thoughts, and it's a great gateway. And then there comes a ceiling we hit. It's like, okay, I feel happier because I'm thinking all these positive thoughts, but nothing's really changing. Sometimes things will change, but then sometimes we might be at a space where we're like, nothing's really changing, and it's back to the frequency. And I'm so glad you used the word, because I use it. I could say it till I'm blue in the face. Like, for everything is because of our frequency.
Yeah.
And we actually need to shift our frequency to be able to truly embody and harness that new thought that we're thinking using the law of attraction to then attract in what we want. And I don't know if this happens for you, but like, you can actually feel these thoughts come in, and you could, there's a difference between thinking the positive thought and then actually making that connection, that new neural pathway in your brain. And I feel it because I'm so sensitive with all this work I do. I literally feel when my brain is making that new connection and that space of expansion, or when it's like, not now. And it's like, okay, what can I do to elevate my frequency so that I can create that shift within me, and then I can see that change outside in my life? And it's cool. It comes with like a lot of responsibility, this path, because it's so much is in our hands. There's a lot not in our hands, and part of our pre-written destiny, I think they say 80% is pre-written, but then we have that 20% that we do have the power over and the influence on. And it's like, we have these tools. Are we using them? Are we bringing ourselves to do the work ourselves?
Absolutely.
Or are we just expecting someone else to bring it here for us?
Yeah.
These
are all things I talk about till I'm blue in the face.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you're bringing it up. This whole journey is about personal responsibility, even what's not in our control, because we're responsible for how we respond.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad that you brought up the whole thing about mantras and affirmations, because I have very similar opinions about them. And when I talk about, the very few times I talk about this topic on social media, I don't do it in a very traditional way, because I know you cannot just repeat the same thing to yourself and expect your life to change. You have to do your shadow work.
Yeah.
And it's funny, someone asked me recently, they're like, if you were president, what's the first law you'd implement? I was like, do your shadow work. Learn what shadow work is and do it. Because once, like you said, once you make the space, the energetic and emotional space, once you process what was taking up space from anchoring in a new belief, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
And just a couple weeks ago, I had woken up, I was doing some Reiki, and I don't even remember what I was working on at this point, but for the first time in my life, I felt the energy and the frequency of gratitude in my body.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it always felt forced. It always felt fake. And I felt it in my body.
I have chills because that feeling is like nothing else.
I'm feeling it again.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I was like, I get it now.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm never going to tell anybody, be grateful. If you're not in a position to feel it, don't. Just simply bring your awareness into your body and be present, and let's take it from there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you bring up shadow work. I really believe that if we are bringing ourselves to this place of growth and expansion, that work can actually come indirectly. Like, we don't have to sit and be like, let's be in our shadow. And like, what it's actually, for my experience in my journey, it's been quite the opposite. It's like all of the work I do starts to clear out a lot without me actually having to sit in it. And then there's things that come up and it's like, hi, you need to meet me.
Yeah.
We need to sit here and you need to feel this.
Yeah.
And it's never been like intentional, but it's just come like with Kundalini, it brings up so much. So it kind of just like comes with the territory. But yeah, it's so true. And being able to observe it and move it helps so much. And I love that you brought up gratitude. It's so funny. We always, like, in these high frequency conversations, there's so much that we're encountering that are coming up because I went to the beach. I actually listened to these videos I've been listening to. They're like archived videos of like Kundalini teachings, and it brought up gratitude. And so much of the beginning of my practice was so much about gratitude, and I so easily was in that frequency.
Yeah.
And it was brought to my attention how maybe my focus has gone elsewhere, and how important that frequency is to sit in and be in. And thinking a thought of gratitude, just like thinking an affirmation, is different than feeling it and actually allowing that energy to move through your body. And I feel like my microphone's literally moving right now, which is so interesting. Have you ever seen this before? Okay. Lots of energy happening here, right? Okay. Ashley's saying yes behind the camera.
Sorry if I'm feeling someone come through.
Interesting.
I feel someone's grandmother.
My grandma just passed. Yeah.
Like, it's, yeah.
So interesting.
I'm just shocked. Sorry.
Wow. So cool. Yeah. Hi, Graham.
She likes this conversation.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, the microphone is literally moving and I'm not moving it.
I'm so sorry for your loss, by the way.
Thank you.
But
wow.
There you go.
So wild. So back to gratitude. It's so true. And it's the same. It's so connected with what I was saying with affirmations. It's like, if we can say one thing, we could talk ourselves into one thing, but then there's this energy of embodiment, of absolutely feeling it. And that's where so much of the shift happens. Mm-hmm. And how, if someone was to ask me, well, like how? Like, I'm thinking it and I'm not feeling it. Like, how can I feel it? How can I get there? It goes into the frequency. It goes into what are my tools to shift my frequency so I can actually feel it and embody that.
And that's exactly what led me to breath work, which you'll appreciate.
Yeah.
Once I started learning about the nervous system, the game changed. And that was really the missing piece for me, because I was anchoring mental, anchoring emotional. Physical was iffy. Mm-hmm. And now I'm really locking that part in as well, really getting consistent with a movement practice.
Yeah.
As well as going back to Kundalini yoga a little bit. But learning how to work with my nervous system in order to get my frequency where I want to be, it's changing my life a lot quicker than ever before. Yeah. And just like you said, when it comes to shadow work, we don't always have to sit in it. Mm-hmm. Things will present themselves, and we'll have to meet it. But we can also transmute through the breath, through the body. Yes. And it's really a matter of getting, dropping out of the mind into the body, which is really one of my core foundations of MASAH and these Chakra Caramels.
Yeah. So cool. So how long after starting Reiki and beginning Reiki were you guided to developing MASAH?
About a year. Within a year, I had 2 dreams in one night. It's really interesting because a lot that has had to do with MASAH has come through dream time.
Interesting.
Which does not happen with anything else in my life or business, unless subconscious stuff working through. But I woke up in the morning, I had this idea, and I felt in my bones that this was it. This was my mission from God. This was what I was meant to build and create and birth, that had all the elements of who I am with my soul's purpose and my life's mission. And at the time, my first and primary spiritual mentor was also a food and cosmetic chemist. So we got to tinkering around, and that really set me off in this whole course of 8 years of development of this one product.
Wow. So cool.
Yeah.
So I assume that Reiki being such an experience like through the chakra system and through the energy centers that kind of guided you to create that.
It was part of it.
Yeah.
It was definitely a part of it. Again, I just channeled this, and I knew a couple things at the time that were never going to change.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be for the chakras, to teach people all the ways to support them, the importance of what the chakras are.
Mm-hmm.
There are these energy centers that support us or have the capability to support us and optimize our lives in a very holistic way once we learn how to approach them with intention. So in this case, it was eating for the chakras. That's one of the easiest, most powerful ways to support our energy. I knew they were going to be essential oil infused, so finding the highest quality food grade essential oils, and then which oils were for each chakra, what are the food grade versions of them, and what was a beautiful flavor combination to pair with it. And then they're always going to be caramels. At the time, the CBD industry was taking off.
Yeah.
And everyone was doing a gummy.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew, and I still know, I'm never going to do a gummy. This is my thing to stand out from the crowd. And I was also finding, as a consumer at the time who I believe I was not supposed to be eating gluten or dairy, and having to play around with my diet for health reasons, but there was really only one other product on the market that was a coconut milk and coconut sugar based caramel. Actually, I'm not even sure they use coconut sugar. I think they're just coconut milk.
Mm-hmm.
And then mine are coconut milk, coconut sugar based, essential oil infused, and Reiki charged. And all the flavors that we use to pair with the essential oils are all organic and made with the highest quality ingredients in a base of MCT oil as well. That's actually not on the packaging, but I work with an amazing oil and flavor guy. And normally when you have combinations like that, or tinctures, they're in a blend of grapeseed oil or alcohol, but he had the option of MCT.
Cool.
And I grabbed it immediately.
So cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So it's based off of the food for the chakras, the essential oil that corresponds to the chakras. And by eating, they're delicious.
Thank you.
And I know you're only supposed to have like a few a week, right? I'm such a stickler when it comes to that stuff. I like read the fine print. I'm like, oh God, okay, I have to limit how many I have a week. Is that true?
It was. Okay, it was.
Yeah.
It was. The original packaging had a suggested use 1 to 3 times a week. Find somewhere you won't be disturbed.
Yeah.
Close your eyes. Enjoy with intention. We got so much pushback on that. And I'm learning to be flexible throughout this whole process. But it just got to a point where I was going to have to give on this and change, because too many people were really confused.
Okay.
They didn't understand why.
Oh.
Some people thought it would harm their health.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I mentioned before, we're launching all new packaging, launching on the summer solstice.
Oh, cool.
We're relaunching all
Amazing.
new packaging and the 4 next flavors to finish the chakra line.
Incredible.
Yeah, very excited about that, because we launched the initial 3 on the Lionsgate portal.
Amazing.
So I got to do a whole ritual with that.
So cool.
Yeah, it's really aligning beautifully. It's now just going to be indulge with intention.
Nice.
But my hope and my goal is that this product serves as an anchor point to find some moments in your day to restore your energy, to recalibrate yourself, to drop in and just take a mindful pause and time out for yourself.
Yeah. I love that so much. And doing it in an indulgent way. and being able to connect like the consuming to balance and to intention, because I know a lot of people can struggle with that. And like how it's sometimes it's like an all or nothing type thing. We can't have any sugar, we can't have any sweets, we're doing all this. Or some on the flip side, it's like hard to indulge in sugar and not overdo it. And bringing in that intention with these, I think, is so special and important, especially as it connects to the energy centers.
Yeah. And there's a QR code on the back of the package that says meditate with me.
Oh, cute. I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Just leads to a guided 5-6 minute meditation for that chakra to introduce you to it if you're new, or if you're experienced, again, a moment where you get to take time for yourself to prevent burnout, release some stress, release some overwhelm, and feel good about what you're putting in your body.
Yeah.
I often think about the Dove Bar commercials in the 90s and like how indulgent it looked. Granted, it's not the greatest ingredient. And I wanted to stay away from the words guilt-free indulgence.
Yeah.
Because I believe we shouldn't feel guilty about anything we eat. That is what's going to cause digestive distress even more.
Yep. So true. So by eating them, what would you say are the benefits that someone gets?
Ooh. Well, just as we diffuse essential oils for different support, the same thing happens in the body. Essential oils are a form of plant medicine in a safe way, depending on how you use it, of course. And here's the cool fact I recently learned in this process. I'll share a little insider info before we launch. Our crown chakra flavor is going to be honey lavender.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I can't wait.
This is going to be a really big hit for people who love a lavender latte.
Wow.
It's incredible. I didn't know that lavender was an adaptogen.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we just assume lavender is going to relax us, zen us out. But if you're too tired and you have something with lavender oil or you diffuse it, it's going to energize you in a very sustainable way.
So awesome.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, I really, along with that, I was choosing, when it came to the natural flavors, ingredients that were, again, going to support those energy centers and what they do for you. So apple cinnamon is our root chakra flavor. We want to eat fruits and vegetables and foods that come from the earth. We want to have warming, grounding spices, things that help us feel nourished. We also want to eat the color red, as that there are colors that vibrationally align with the chakras as well. So I really wanted to make each and every caramel the most holistic combination of ingredients as possible.
So cool. And where does the red come from in that one?
So apple, and then cinnamon. You know, those are red foods, red spices. There's also a little bit of nutmeg in that one. So ingredients, extracts, things like that come from red foods.
So cool.
Yeah. Didn't want to put any food coloring in this whatsoever.
They're delicious. And although they look small, they're very
they're hefty.
They are. They're small, but you realize oh, this really is a time to sit, indulge, and enjoy. You're not just popping it in your mouth. You're taking bites and really enjoying it slowly, or at least I started to, because the first time I did put one full one in my mouth at one point, and I was like, this is a lot, which I loved. I was like, wait, there's so much more to enjoy. It doesn't need to be in one bite. So nice.
Yeah, I did my first demo the other night, and we really just needed one pack for each for samples to just break it apart into small bite-sized pieces for people to try.
Yeah.
But I just popped the whole thing in my mouth.
Do you? It's so good.
I do.
It's really good. I understand why, but I was like, I could make this last a little bit longer than I was by popping it in.
I know.
So good.
I gotta think about that. They're just too delicious. I can't just take bites of them.
Yeah.
And what we're also planning to do is have an assortment box for all the flavors that I'm dubbing a conscious candy dish. Something that you feel proud to keep on your coffee table.
I love that.
An entryway or even your altar for people that resonates with, which would only energize a product even more.
Yeah,
and
true.
Then I'm kind of tinkering around with the idea of a branded candy dish.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
What makes me the most excited with brands like yours is like this new age that we're creating and this new earth we're creating, and how even candy can be of a high frequency and with intentional ingredients and something that we could enjoy in a completely different way and allow it to process in our bodies in a completely different way and be beneficial to us and our energy center. So I didn't realize they were Reiki infused. That's really cool as well.
Yeah, that was just like a fun benefit. I was like, if I can do it, why not?
Yeah,
and like I said, I did a whole ritual on Lionsgate, and you just gave me another idea bringing that up, because I recently got certified in light language.
Oh, amazing.
I started channeling some light language.
So cool.
And I might bring that into my getting ready for the next launch, and really infusing the product with an even higher frequency.
Where do you know like the beings that you channel from? You do?
Yeah.
Can you share?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've channeled quite a few. So far, it's been the Arcturians, Blue Avians, Pleiadians, and the Hathors.
Haven't heard of them.
So the Hathors are also the Venusians, so beings from Venus.
I've heard of them, yes.
And have you read the Magdalene manuscript?
No.
Have you heard of that book?
No, but I'm writing that down right now.
It's a channel.
Magdalene manuscript.
Yeah. It's a channeled text of like all these priestess initiations that talk about the Hathors a little bit. I read 2 pages. I have to go back and read the rest, but apparently it's an incredible book. I keep wanting to say a text, not a book. Like I feel like I'm being corrected.
Yeah.
But I think I've also channeled another group. I don't remember what they were called, and fairies.
Okay.
I didn't realize that you can channel light language from fairies. That was a trippy one, as my voice really changed and got very high pitched.
Yeah. Where do you do this? Like, do you practice on your own?
So I have a very dear friend who I got certified with. I was told for a couple of years, and I felt drawn to light language. It was mentioned to me, oh, you're going to get certified. This is a gift that's going to come through. I was like, great.
Show me the way.
Right. Yeah. Who is the teacher?
Yeah.
How do I even start? Because I was also in my own way. I was in my head of like, how is it going to happen? Like, am I going to channel it correctly? And it wasn't happening for a couple of years. And then I finally just sat in meditation and I asked for guidance. And I was like, lead me to that correct teacher, to that guide who would support me. And another year went by, and all of a sudden my friend finally became public with her gift and opened a certification. I felt safe with her. I felt comfortable, and I knew she was the one.
Yeah.
And I started finding that it really comes through strongly when I'm already Reikiing myself. The first time I really did it for myself, my hands were moving. I was making all these sounds and tones with my voice. Some actual light language came through. I actually went to a Kundalini workshop a couple months ago too. They were doing this embodied painting class with a Kriya. And I was like, I'm going to activate some light language into this painting. And I just got my hands in it and just really went with it. It's wild.
Yeah. Pleiadians I feel very connected to them. I definitely feel so much of what others have channeled from them has been what my soul knows for so long, like reading Bringers of the Dawn or Family of Light. Reading both of those books, it's just like a complete remembering. Like, yes, this is truth. Yes, this is truth. Like everything I've always felt. So I do feel very connected to them. I'm not as familiar with so many other beings of light and the star seeds, but
I'm still learning.
It's really cool. And over this past, I would say, week and a half, so much has been coming up in this conversation. I have friends that just feel like these other energies or forces are influencing them at this time, and they just like feel their presence. And content I've been guided to listen to and consume has talked a lot about just the extraterrestrial energy that actually people believe is here on Earth and what we could potentially be working with.
It definitely feels like you've spent time in the Pleiades for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I definitely believe that as well.
I love talking about these things. And so now I can share. When I was in, I think it was in 2nd or 3rd grade, I had a moment when I was sitting in class in school and I felt really out of my body. And I got scared because I looked around, and the best way I can describe it, of course I had no idea then. It was like when you get really drunk and you feel really disassociated. I was looking around at everyone and I was like, who are these people? Like, where am I? I freaked out, and then all of a sudden I was back in my body and it went away. And then as I started this work and learning about different star systems and star seeds, I knew it was my moment that I felt that part of who I was just really uncomfortable in this life and on this planet. And that's where a lot of my work has been too. Getting myself acclimated and accepting I am here and I chose this. At least the majority of me has chosen this. So now it's just very fulfilling, getting to understand more of who these beings are and how they're helping us. You're absolutely right. They are helping all of us at this time to ascend, and which is why time has felt like it's speeding up like crazy lately.
And like not even having a sense of time, right? It's
it's wild. So it's a journey.
Definitely is. Yeah. That's interesting. I've had a lot of experiences like that too, like feeling out of my body or just traveling. It's an interesting journey for sure. But
I wonder if now it'll start to come through your platform and on your app and everything. And
it's interesting. I mean, I really do feel so guided and connected and so much beautiful energy from the Pleiadians. So I'm very specific with like what I'm willing to connect to. But they just really seem like they want to guide us on this journey and bring us to that space of the new earth that like so many of us can visualize, feel, sense, and even experience in our little lives, but seeing it more on the collective level.
Yeah. I will share too, when I do light language, as much as you feel shifts with affirmations when they click in, it's expedited.
I'm sure.
Like the shift is instantaneous with these breakthroughs that come through. It's wild.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So you get into like your meditative state, your Reiki state, and then it will come through for you.
Sometimes. And then just this morning when I was getting ready and doing my makeup, I was like, you know what? I'm feeling a little lack of confidence. And I called on my light language guides to come through and ask for who would want to support me in a transmission for XYZ, all these things that I was working through. And I was just doing my thing as I was getting ready.
So cool.
Yeah.
And do you know specifically who's coming through at that moment, or you do?
Yeah, you have to, because I won't go too deep down this rabbit hole, but I am also someone who works with some really incredible underworld beings and deities. And I've really had to learn about entities and attachments and really
boundaries.
Yeah. Boundaries and using my intuitive discernment with who I'm calling in. And if who is showing up is actually them.
Yeah, totally.
It's a wild world out there.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like protecting your energy has been something like, it's so funny. I actually created a hat when I created my first merch line, and it was protect your energy. And my husband like loved it. He was like, this is so cool. I love the hat too. But I was like, we're always protected. Like I didn't like really feel into the phrase until more recently, where it's like, yeah, we have to protect our energy. Like all of a sudden I'm like, where's the hat? I need to wear the hat immediately. Like we just need to. Like there's a lot of energy right now on earth. There's a lot we're bombarded with. And it's essential to have those boundaries and be like, no, you are not coming into my space. Whether it's a person, an energy, whatever it is you're working with or interacting with, it's like, no. And then knowing that safe space to connect to. And I think what Kundalini for me has made things very clear of like what is allowed in and what is not allowed in. And that's it.
Yeah. I just had this conversation with another friend too, and we've been going back and forth about this, and something else just clicked in as you were talking. I was sharing with her about how we can have rips and holes and tears in our aura.
Yeah.
And it is something to be mindful of and learn how to work with. And sometimes what causes those openings in our field are from times of trauma and grief, which is also why it is so important not to demonize or suppress those experiences and emotions, but to learn how to process them effectively so that you can, and I hate to use this expression, but raise your vibration in a very sustainable way.
Yeah. It's so true.
It's all connected.
Yeah. The aura work is real, and it's
that needs to be a hat.
Yeah.
That needs to be a hat.
Yeah. It's just, it's real, and it's really important because that's everything. You know, it's energy we're putting out. It's what we're attracting back in. That's what I really think of it, you know, our field. So it's so true.
I love getting to have conversations about these things from people that
I love it.
You feel safe and you feel seen and heard and accepted. So I love that we went into star scenes right now.
Me too. And light language, because that's something I've been really interested in. So cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for feeling so safe to share all of that with us. And I know my community is going to love the conversation, but also love your confections and your delicious goodies that you create. So do you want to share where they could find you, where they can find the goods?
Absolutely. I will give you the goods. We're online at experiencemasah.com, and it's MASAH. You can find me on Instagram at I am Emily Pogany. Also, MASAH Confections is the brand's Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram on my stories the most, and everything new that I share for both brands and accounts is on my stories and my link tree. And make sure to go to the store locator on the website because we're getting more and more retailers carrying these caramels, which is really exciting. And I'm also starting to do in-person brand activations with the product around the country, which is really exciting. So again, make sure to sign up for our mailing list too, because I share all those announcements. You get first dibs on product. You get discounts, exclusive experiences. I'm doing a whole thing.
Incredible. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed this conversation.
This is amazing.
So good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Like I said, Chakra Caramels are absolutely delicious. You will not regret buying them or tasting them. I hope to have them at many more of our future events because they're just so good and so in alignment. I hope you enjoyed the episode as always. If you did, I would love for you to rate and review the podcast so we can receive that feedback from you. And I am so grateful for you being here. I hope to see you next time, and may the long time sun shine upon you. Sat Nam.